Okay, so today we're continuing our discussion about dilations. The previous lesson we talked about dilations around the origin. Now we're talking about dilations around a point. So notice in this example it says find the dilation with a center at 2, -3 and a scale factor of 2. So in the previous examples, they were around the origin. So in order to do a dilation around a point, we have to sort of reset this thing to where it's around the origin. And we're going to do exactly what we did when we had rotations that weren't around the origin. And that is, we're going to take the point that we're doing the dilation around, and we're going to subtract that off. So let's go under these points and put that point that we're rotating around underneath all of them. All right, so we're going to subtract that point from our original points here. So 2 minus 2 is equal to 0. -2, and here's where you got to be really careful with your signs. Minus and negative is the same thing as plus. So -2 plus 3 is 1. And then we do 1 minus 2, which is -1. And then we do -2 minus a negative again, which is plus. So that's plus 3, so that's going to be 1. 3 minus 2 is going to be 1. And then 5 minus a negative makes a plus. So 5 plus 3 is 8. Once we subtract off the point, then all you got to do is take the scale factor you're given 2 and multiply it across all those points. So these points now we're going to take and multiply every point there by 2. So 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 1 is 2. Then we'll do the next one. 2 times a -1 is -2. 2 times a +1 is a +2. 2 times 1 is 2. And then 2 times 8 is 16. All right. Now, just like before with the rotations that we did, once we subtract off the point and do our transformation, now we've got to add that point back on. So in this case, we're going to take that point to -3 and add it back to our dilated image. So this time we're adding. So it's 0 plus 2, and this will be our new A prime, will be 2. 2 plus a -3, or 2 minus 3 is -1. The next one will be our B prime. -2 plus 2 is 0. 2 plus a -3, or 2 minus 3 is -1. And then our C prime will be 2 plus 2 is 4. 16 plus a -3 or -3 will be 13. And this is our dilated image with a center of 2, -3. Let's take a second and see if you can do the second one here. Pause the video, and then I'll explain here in just a second. Okay, so back here, we're going to dilate around that point again. So we have to subtract off that point, 2, -3. And we're going to do it to all 3 points. So in this case, we're doing 5 minus 2, which is 3. -3 minus a negative, again, is plus. So -3 plus 3 is 0. 2 minus 2 is 0. -4 minus a minus is plus, so that's plus 3. So that's -1. And then the final point, -1 minus 2 is -3. -1 minus a negative, or plus 3, is going to be 2. And then we're going to take and use our scale factor to dilate the image. So that's a scale factor of 2. So we're going to multiply every point in there by 2. So that's 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 0 is 0. Next point, 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times a -1 is a -2. And then finally, 2 times -3 is -6. 2 times 2 is 4. And just like before, we subtracted off the point, did our dilation. Now we have to add that point back on. So 2 -3 has to be added to each point. So here we're going to add 6 plus 2, and this will be our final image. Will be 8. 0 plus a -3 is -3. 0 plus 2 is 2. -2 minus 3 is -5. -2 plus, or -6 plus 2 is -4. And then finally 4 minus 3 will be 1, and that's our final image. If you have any questions, bring them to class.